Hello, everyone. My name is Rakia Bates. I'm an elementary education major. I'm a junior here at Alabama A&M, and I'm from Chicago. And today I'll be presenting my research project on student behavior in the classrooms. So let's see if we can go. Here we go. So here we go. Student behaviors in the classroom. So this is my narrow topic. No, this is actually my broad topic because it's like the general thing that we're talking about here is just the behavior of students in the classroom and how does certain things affect the behavior of students in the classroom. So, introduction. So, my broad topic about behavior of students in the classroom, it was very important when it came to research because I feel like this will help me as a future teacher because it's important to know and understand the reason for student behavior and the triggers behind these behaviors. So, what is the actual root of these behaviors and what causes students to act the way they act, whether it's positive or negative? We really want to get to the bottom of it and understand why these behaviors are occurring. And one of the most difficult aspects of teaching is managing students with problem behaviors. So that's why I really chose this because student behavior is so complex, you really never know why these behaviors are being performed. And although you can find information about how to manage behavior on websites and television, you really have to do your research because it varies from class to class, gender, age, depending on what school you're working at. So this was very important for me to research because I really wanted to understand what is student behavior and how do certain things affect these behaviors. So, factors that influence behaviors are poverty. So, depending on the economic stability of the family, if they have money or not, sometimes the kids take on those stressors because they feel like they don't have money. They can't pay to go on field trips, they can't pay for certain parties at school. So, they take on that depression or that sadness that they feel at school, or they might get bullied about it because they can't do certain things because their family can't afford it. Also, divorce is really on the rise. So when it comes to being in school and parents are being separated and divorced, certain parents are picking up one child or parents are taking turns sharing a child. It really takes a toll on the student because they're like torn here and then they're there. Their things might get mixed up. So just being in a divorced home, it really takes a toll on the student's behavior. Also, skill level. When students feel like they aren't learning anymore, they begin to have behavior issues because we have the kids that really don't understand and they don't know how to ask for help. So then they just take that stress out on their and then act on it as their behavior becomes worse. And then we have the students who are very gifted students and they feel like there's nothing left for them to do. They complete all their work really fast. So in the classroom as a teacher, you might have a gifted student and then you might have the student who really don't understand. When those clash together, it just brings a lot of behavior issues. So what as a teacher, what do you do when you have students who finish early, have your gifted students, and then you have the students who really need that help? How do you manage between, getting something else for the students to do who are finishing early and then also trying to have that one-on-one help with the child who really isn't understanding and needs more guidance? And then we have child abuse is another factor that influences behavior because child abuse, being beat on, different factors like that in the house really affects the child. They might come to school, hurting. They might come to school, anxious, stressed out, scared, anything. And all of these issues tie back into their behavior that they display in the classroom. Also, we have toxic home environment. So when it comes to the toxic home environment, when parents are arguing or things aren't working out well, students take this on and display this in the classroom. They look for attention. They look for someone to actually care. And that's what students look for at the end of the day, is someone who actually can notice these signs that they're displaying to get them some help or just show them some type of appreciation, some care, some love, or some things like that. So these are all the factors that really influence behavior. And then we have my research questions. So when thinking of something like this, I had to think of what is something that I want to narrow it down to. And so what I said was, what is the effect of parent age on student behavior in the classroom? And how does background and demographics influence behavior and parent involvement in the schools and classrooms? So what I did was, instead of just researching everything, I also got opinions from a few teachers and administrators that I knew, because what's a better way to research than researching from actual schools and teachers and different environments? So I first reached out to a former teacher, Corey Morrison. He's a now an assistant principal in Chicago, and this is what he had to say.
So, hi, I am a former teacher. I taught for 6 years in Chicago public schools, and now currently an administrator. And from a teacher's perspective, the age of parents on home life and how that impacts student behavior, I believe having both lenses now and looking at it is a big misconception that the age of the parent impacts the home culture. I've seen many families that have young parents, even teenage parents, have the child in high school and is now raising a child. And by the time they've reached the high school age, that parent is 30, 35. And that home life is very stable and very nurturing and supportive of students. And those students don't have as much behavior issues as other students might have. But I think there is some truth to, or some anecdotal evidence that students that have tumultuous home lives display those behaviors at school, but I don't necessarily feel like that is indicative of all families that have young parents. But I think they could be at a higher risk because they have less supports, less job opportunities, and things like that do impact home. But I do think it's a misconception among teachers now that I've seen it from both sides of the lens.
All right, and then we had Demori Nix. So she's a first grade teacher. She's been teaching for about 13 years. And here's what she had to say about the difference in the age and the student behavior, and also what home life is like and how that also can tie into student behavior.
Hi, my name is Demori Nix. I've been an educator for 13 years, teaching first grade and third grade. I've taught in low-income settings as well as the middle-class setting, and I do think there are many factors that contribute to student behavior, one being demographics. I believe that those students who come from low-income families are basically latchkey kids, which means they basically take care of themselves. Their parents work long hours and are not always available to be involved in student activities. However, those students who have a big parental involvement, when there's an open line of communication between the teacher and the parent, behaviors are subsided only because they know that the communication is open and that their parents are well aware of what they're doing in the classroom. So it does contribute to how well they do and how successful they are in the classroom.
All right, and we had one more video from Alex Graves, but we're running out of time. So I'm going to go ahead and dig into my contacts. So not only did I take time to research within the AAMU library and the database, and I found a lot of supporting books, but I also reached into my community as well, and I did research on teachers in school system who have been in their profession for many years. So I presented my narrow topic and my research topic, and I explored the behavior behind the age of children, also behind the age of their parents. And from reading, many times young parents have the poorly behaved children. Also, I did find that this might be a misconception because we have parents who are young, but they still have, they are very stern in what they say to their children. They are very, strict because they don't want their children to go down the same path that they did. And the student might crave attention, and if they do have the poor behavior, on the other hand, the student craves attention, and this triggers from behavior like talking out of term, physical altercation, and more. And these children might act out because their parents may have unstable jobs or income and things of that sort, because the parents might not have been able to finish school due to having them. So, their home life might not be as top notch as it could be. And so, due to the parent situation or working job to job, they can't come up to the school and be more involved. And this is another reason why students act out of turn, because they know their parents really won't show up. And so on the flip side, we might have, students who have young parents, but their parents are very nurturing because they want to give what to their child what, they might not